What's good, YouTube? My name is Harris and you're watching another episode of BRG MX5. In today's video, we'll be installing some 1000cc injectors into the MX5. So when installing a new injector, you gotta make sure that the length is the same as the OEM. The reason is that the 1.6 MX5 has got a little plastic spacer, and that is to space the fuel rail off the injector off the block. So if it's a different length, you'll need some sort of an adapter, or for in this case, a extended top hat, which is this gray bit up here, because usually this 1000cc injector is about yay big, and you need that little extra length on there to make it the same length as the OEM injector. Another thing about these new injectors is that they are EV14, which is a newer, more modern spray pattern. You can tell by looking at the bottom, there are like little small holes compared to the old style injector, and with it being EV14, there's a different connector end on here. So with that being said, this little extension adapter connects from the new injector style to the OEM harness on the fuel rail.
Lets the extra fuel through this hose back into the tank. So
time to replace injectors.
The same all the way over into that tomato garden, so we have to upgrade.
Teach me, Miata God.
Start with the car that's equipped
Teach
with
me.
Square. So we'll pretend I'm smart for a minute. Is for fuel flow.
Remove fuel pump relay. Remove negative battery terminal. Remove gas cap. Crank the car to relieve fuel pressure. Remove the idle valve. Remove PCV hose. Lay down a shop towel to make things less messy. Perfect. Mark one set of hoses to make it easier to put it back together. Remove both fuel lines. Remove connectors from all the injectors. Loosen the fuel rail bolts. Before removing them completely, make sure you grab the two plastic spacers that sit between the fuel rail and the block. Now it's time to remove your fuel rail. Before you remove the rail, be sure to plug the two ends of the fuel hose so that when you pull the rail, none of the fuel falls out between. That should do just nicely. Now remove the fuel rail. Now if you messed up like me and removed the fuel rail without the injectors, go ahead and remove them and then clean the surface of the block. I've got the fan going because it smells like fuel in here, and I'm gonna get high soon. Once the surface has been prepped, install your new injectors. Injectors are on the rail. Slide it in nice and carefully into the slots. Once they're in, make sure you return the plastic spacers onto the rail. Reinstall the 12mm bolt. Reinstall your fuel lines. Now if you have aftermarket injectors like I do, you may need a harness to adapt the OEM plug to your new injector plug. Install the adapter. Perfect. Reinstall PCV hose. Replace your fuel pressure regulator hose. Reinstall your air valve back onto the intake manifold. Fuel pump relay back into the fuse box. Gas cap back on. Replace your negative battery terminal. In terms of removing and installing injectors, you can stop here. However, if you're putting bigger injectors like I am and running an ECU standalone like MX5 2, carry on. Basic load settings, engine and sequential settings, required fuel. Injector flow rate for my injectors is 1000. Click OK. And then click burn. Fuel settings, injector dead time. Use your injector information to find your injector dead time. In my case, it's 1.136 milliseconds. Put it into the first cell. Start the car and check for leaks.